It's got a 4-inch touchscreen. It's completely digital with a lens with integrated pictures and video for you to make content creation. The camera itself has a number of different functions. It's built-in autofocus. You can toggle it off to manual focus with the lens. You can connect to Wi-Fi. It has a 3.5mm jack for a microphone, as well as HDMI to connect to HDTV and a computer. It shoots from 720p 30 frames a second all the way up to 4K 60 frames a second. At 720p, you can shoot in slow motion at 120 frames a second. It's got a hot shoe mount for your accessories and mics. On the dial, it's got multiple modes on the dial mode. You got photo, auto, burst, timer, video, slow motion. You can do loop shots, time lapse, and video and photo mode. You can see you've got a 4-inch screen. It's very, very spacious here. You got all your buttons here, toggle on and off to control it. You got your time-lapse button. You've got your, if you want to flash, switch camera angles. You've got your exposure here if you want to fine adjust that. Shutter button, power button, flash button, and then here are all your shooting modes here. The lens is fixed here. You can't even manually adjust here. It's all done on the screen once you're ready to turn it on. One thing here is the viewfinder is actually a front-facing camera, so if you wanted to take selfie shots, you have a camera lens to do so as well. The I/O you can see is a mini HDMI cable that's separate. You've got your headphone jack as well as your charging cable. Turning it on here for the first time, you press and hold the power button. You're going to need to format the SD card or use a higher capacity card if you want to use 4K 60. Taking the lens cap off here, you can see pretty straightforward. I like that. You can switch to the front facing camera. As you can see, it's pretty fun. You can take some selfie pictures if you want. The menus here is where you can go ahead and adjust everything. You've got your pixels, 64 megapixels. You can adjust it down if you want. You can adjust your white balance, filters, metering, quality, sharpness, and all your other settings. It is touchscreen, so you can use the touch, hit menu if you want, or you can press the button itself. You do have a flash that you can toggle on with the flash button to take pictures at night. We're here on location here with the 4K camera. It looks pretty good. You got a really wide depth of field. You can see the landscape in the background is pretty good, and it's got some autofocus built into it. I took some pictures around the park, and there's some good shots of trees, good shots of flowers, and it, for the most part, it's giving you a pretty decent profile. There's definitely some extra sharpening going on. If it's a sunny day like it is today, you're gonna get a really nice picture for the most part. At 4K 30, it does eat up the battery pretty quickly here, and also there aren't any other options to be able to down res it to 24 frames a second. With that said, this is the onboard camera mic, so you can hear what it sounds like. You do have a cold shoe mount to place on top of it if you wanted to capture audio. There is an onboard microphone jack here if you wanted to connect to a boom mic, or if you wanted to lav up, you have that option as well. What's great is you do have an HDMI cord, so if you wanted to play back some of the footage, you can and show it on your TV. Otherwise, extracting it from the SD card was really simple. And then lastly, you've got the selfie camera, which I think is reasonable here. It does shoot at 4K 30 frames a second. You can walk and talk at camera if you want. You can lav up, you can get a mic on there, and it still looks reasonable. It's right where the viewfinder is, so you can look at the camera here without having any issue. It's pretty decent. I like that. With that said, it's a decent digital camera here that looks like an SLR. I think the lens is pretty reasonable.